So, very good afternoon to all of you. I'll try and keep it as short as possible. So, Smart Cities is all about the digital transformation that's happening. Okay, we talked about it in the morning. Essentially, it's a transformation to a digital economy that is happening. Now, Indians have, human beings have this innate curiosity, and so this gathering of information has led to the internet traffic really booming. So now you have the processor speeds trying to catch up with that sense of curiosity that we have, that search for information that we have. And we are saying that processor speeds will be 70x in 7 years. Now, if the processor speeds are fast and you have so much information to gather, you have all these smart devices coming into the picture. And so we're saying 1.8 billion of them, smartphone shipments by 2020. And then the digital economy itself will be 25% of the global GDP. So you can see the direction that it's going in. And when you look at products, they've changed. Now, many industries have got completely dismantled, for instance, or changed substantially, like the music industry. Or for instance, maps. You know, everything is residing on your phone, and many industries have just got extinguished. Now, for instance, even if you take a car, they're saying that in time, 46% of the car will be digital. And if you see already, if you take the example of Tesla, they have software and they can in fact raise the height of the car or the platform of the car just through a software instruction. So you can see that products itself are therefore changing, keeping pace with what's happening in the digital economy. Now, in terms of the value proposition, again, huge changes. Now, people don't want to own, they want to rent, they want to partially rent, they want subscription models. So all the models, the business models are also keeping pace with the changing digital transformation. So when we come to a smart city, it is also a manifestation of this digital transformation. And therefore it's going to happen, it's going to be inevitable, in India more so, because we have a huge population, and as the urban migration increases, just for cities to be able to keep pace, they have to be smart. So let's take a quick look at what's happening in India. By 2030, they're saying that the urban population will be 590 billion. Just to give you a perspective, the population in the US is 300 odd million, and maybe you go up to 350 million or so in the time frame that we're talking about. And you have 590 people in India in the urban centers. So we're having a huge number of cities with more than 1 million population. We have about 33 now, we moved to 69, so you can see the pace of change. The urban population from 32% to 40%, and GDP moving up from 63 to 75% from the urban centers. Now with that comes all sorts of problems. You're talking about 14 billion loss due to road traffic delays. So in the same time frame, if the traffic is X today, we're expecting it to be 4X by 2030. So just imagine, we already talk about Bangalore and say, you know, great city, but all you see is cars on the road not moving. And multiply that by 4 in 2030. So there are lots of issues that confront us, and it's important that we find solutions to them. And it's the same with all the other aspects, whether it be the energy generated, or whether it be congestion, or whether it be housing. You know, India will be the biggest housing market, especially with the government's thrust on creating cheap housing or lower cost housing. So clearly, it calls for a number of smart solutions, and I'm not going to go through all of them. You know all about them, we've been hearing about it since the morning, but a large number of smart solutions are already coming into play. With so much of transformation happening in the cities, what are the problems that we face? you face all of these: overcrowding, housing, crime, and so on and so forth. But if you see, you can bucket them into three large issues. Okay, they're social, they're economic, and they're environmental. And many of them are interlinked. For instance, we had Harsh Chitle in the morning talking about lighting, and there is a linkage between lighting and crime. So there are cross linkages as well, which makes it even more interesting. We know about the thrust of the Government of India: 100 smart cities, 60 of them announced, many more to come. They will spend 100 crores, the state will put in a similar amount. Now, the benefits of digitization is essentially digital empowerment, and we talked about it in the morning. It really means that there will be a lot more transparency. Transparency means speed. It means decisions will happen much, much faster. When you look at organizations, I think the difference between the smarter organizations and the ones that are less successful is the speed of decision making, and transparency supports speed of decision making. You have a great deal of tax compliance. For instance, if you take property tax, and if you took an aerial view and you actually looked at what's happening and what's being collected on the ground, the moment you digitize, the property tax will go up by 30–40%, and there are multiple cities in India that will give you evidence of that. So too for smart parking. The huge increase in revenues once you digitize is that we see. Now, with compliance, you also have lower costs, and therefore the real benefits that accrue are the fact that GDP will grow, jobs will grow, but at the same time, you find that it's the new type of jobs that have to be created while old ones being destroyed. And that's a phenomenon we're going to face, because like Schumpeter said, there will be creative destruction. And just imagine if you were driving the same car that you drove 20 years ago or 30 years ago. It's going to change. There is going to be destruction. There is going to be change. And when that change is happening, we have to make sure that our country is equipped to be able to train people for the newer jobs that come about. So along with that comes the citizen welfare, and these days governments realize that citizens have to be satisfied or they will change governments. So citizen welfare is at the heart of it. Now going forward, we also see governments talking about two-way interaction with the citizens. For instance, in the state of AP, they have put the aerial fiber to get connectivity, using the electricity network and being able to reach substations. From there, they're connecting to the last mile using the cable operators. And then they have this black box that they provide citizens. And so you can watch TV, and you can use it for telephony, you can use it for content, and most important, it also allows two-way interaction. They can send you a form for you to fill up, and you could respond, and the government will know what you're thinking. So that's the direction all this is taking, that citizens get to the heart of it, and they have a say in what's going on, and it's already happening in India. So now let's take a look at some interesting solutions. Now, for instance, there is this e-government kiosk, which we have in different places. For instance, we will have it in Nagpur. We have it already in the city of Vijayawada and many other places, where the citizen can go and sit there, and he can interact with the government officer. He can exchange forms, he can put it in, he can get the signature of the other guy, and it's very non-intrusive. The transactions can happen much faster. And once you put analytics on top of it, you will know what's exactly in the minds of citizens in that city or that part of the city. And then the interaction with citizens gets greatly enriched. You have smart transportation, you all know about it. What about smart bus stops, where you can have the pod where you can interact with the government officials, or you can do vending, all those smart bus stops. So a lot of possibilities emerging. In terms of e-health, we already have hospitals who are now reaching out into the rural areas. And we've done this experiment. We did it in Fitri village, very close to Nagpur, and in front of the Chief Minister, where the patient was on the other side, the doctor was here, and even his reports came up. You could link it with the electronic health records, and it was certainly a demonstration of the depth of distance, where the doctor doesn't have to be proximal, he can be far away, but he can be as effective. And it's the same thing that applies to, for instance, education, schools, and so on. And you could do the same with smart parking, and you could do the same with surveillance. Now, for instance, in the year 2002, there was a film which was made. It was called Minority Report. And in Minority Report, what it did was, it first of all captured the trends that were happening with crime. But then, the story of the film, and the film was made by Steven Spielberg, it shows that they knew who was the guy who was going to commit the crime. So now the dilemma was, are you going to arrest the guy before he commits the crime? Thought for you. And of course you have smart waste, which has environmental implications as well. Now if you look at the ecosystem in any city, they're all isolated and siloed, and therefore you won't be able to work. For instance, one department would want to dig the road, and the other department would want to fill up the road. And then 2 weeks later, you're digging it up again. So it's very important that different departments, and it's just like a company. It's similar in a company. Or for instance, a patient in a hospital. In the ICU, everything works well. As soon as the patient moves outside, you'll find that the hospital works in a very siloed fashion. So whether it's a hospital or a company or government, the problems are the same. So how do you integrate it? You need to have the appropriate technology to be able to do that. And most important, you need to have a command center which will be able to integrate it. So for instance, if we go to the city of Vijayawada, we can see how the traffic density is. But the important thing is to be able to anticipate and what is the action that you are taking when you see the density of traffic. Now you're going to do it proactively. Now there is a command center, which also means that the threat, the cyber security threat to the city is very high, because this is one location that you have to attack now. And therefore you have to be equally conscious of the cyber security threats when you're centralizing the operation in your city. And then there are issues. For instance, we talk about sustainability, but environment is not prioritized because there are lack of monetization opportunities there. So the government needs to put in incentives to really make sure that environment is at the focus of it. Citizen discipline. You can have smart waste and all that, but what if the citizen insists on throwing the garbage on the road? No city is ever going to get smart if the citizens don't participate in its development and are disciplined about taking it forward. Now, the governance structures in the city also sometimes impede the progress, and most governments are progressive, they recognize it and they're taking action, but it's not going to be that the solution will emerge overnight. We need to be conscious that it is being tackled, it has to be tackled, it will be tackled. And while all these experiments are going on, the entrepreneurs are coming forward. There are more and more solutions emerging in the ecosystem. Funders don't invest without evidence, and evidence needs funding. So we need to promote entrepreneurs as well, and we're going to figure out how to support them in multiple ways. So in Cisco, we have this team which is called the Country Digitization Acceleration. And what we do is essentially we invest in internal projects that can help to transform the country. Okay, and we're doing it in 18 countries. We are learning as we go along. And in India, you see, whenever you're talking about funding, and you've got to be focused about it. So we have a 6x6 strategy. We focus on 6 states, one of the prominent ones being Maharashtra, and we focus on 6 technology areas, which is national broadband, smart cities, cyber security, some of the central government projects like defense and railways, Skilling, we're saying that we want to skill 35,000 student beneficiaries in this year itself across India, and we've already done 20,000. So a lot of focus on because otherwise there's no capacity building. You do all of this and bring in technology, and if you don't have people who can operate all these structures and are fully trained to understand the benefits and how to work on improving them, what's the point? So there has to be capacity building, which is on skilling. So what we do is, we also have investments, for instance, under the Smart City called innovation centers. Like we have invested in Gujarat in a center of entrepreneurship called I Create. So they invite entrepreneurs, they undergo training over there, and we have set up an IoT lab so that they can develop solutions. So it's important. There's a tea hub which is in Telangana, in Hyderabad. It is an 800-seater facility where you have entrepreneurs coming in and spending very little money, but very creative in terms of the solutions they're bringing about. And now from 800 seats, they're going to take it up to 3,000 in a very short while, probably make it one of the biggest entrepreneurial centers in the world. So what we do in under CDA, we're doing 50 projects across India right now. So what we do is we make sure that the investments are in line with country transformation in various ways, whether it be education or skill building, whatever it is. And we demonstrate thought leadership in whatever we do. We try to showcase the value of what we're doing and take it forward and make sure it is scaled up. Thank you.